Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a mandala today. Mandala actually in Sanskrit means circle, so it makes perfect sense. Here's an example of a mandala that I've already made. I put it on mat board, which you have access to and you can get a piece from me. And for this one, I painted the whole back black. So you can do that if you want, or you can use it as is. And there's a front, there's a white side and some kind of color on the other side. So I'm going to use this one just like it is for now. Okay, so another thing you need to do is collect some materials, some different utensils that have different size circles on them. You will want some that are bigger and they need to be flat, and you'll want some that are tiny like the tip of a pencil. You could also use an eraser. You could use a pencil that's partly sharpened and the eraser on the other side. A brush, and we're not going to use the brush itself, just the other side. You also need some paint. Acrylic paint is a good paint to use, and a paper towel or a napkin so you can wipe off your tools after you use them. All right, so we're going to start off making a line in the center, and we're going to use a ruler, but you don't have to use a ruler. You can use a straight edge, and you're going to line up corner to corner, and just with a pencil, not a pen, you're going to draw a line. And I know you probably can't see that line on the video, but I can see it, it's there. And when you draw it on yours, if you do it on the color side, it'll be hard to see, but you can still see it. It's enough that it'll work. All right, so once you line up the ruler or the straight edge with the corners and you draw two lines, where the lines meet in the middle is going to be the center of your mandala. And so I'm going to start with the biggest circle I have and choose whatever color I want to start with. And I think I'm going to start with white this time. So you're going to dip it in the paint, and you want to dip it in the paint so it covers the tip, but you don't want the paint to go up the sides because that'll begin to get messy and that'll change the shape, and we want circles. All right, so I've got paint on my tip and I'm going to carefully place it in the center, and I'm just going to very lightly press down so it makes a circle and then pull up. And you're going to have a little dimple or a piece that sticks up. That's okay. And then I'm going to wipe this off because I'm not going to do a bigger circle anymore. Okay, then I'm going to choose a smaller tip to go around that. And I think I'm going to use my slightly sharpened pencil. And I'm going to go for, let's do green. So I'm going to barely dip in the paint because I don't want it to go up the edges. I just want it to cover the edge. And I'm going to start off putting my circle on one of the lines. We have 4 lines. And you want to put it right next to your center dot, and you want to barely press down and make a circle. And if it doesn't have enough paint, you can actually go back and dot it again. Okay, so you want that nice little point sticking up. Now every time I make a dot, I'm going to add it, I'm going to dip my tool back in my paint. You don't want to keep dotting without re-dipping because then you don't have enough paint on your tip. All right, so I'm going to dot it again, and I'm doing it on the lines first and trying to put it right next to that center dot. And if you'll notice, I'm rotating it as I work. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to put just one dot in between, in the middle, next to the center, but in between the ones that were on the line. So just carefully push down. And if you don't like the way it looks, you can go back and redot it so it has a nice little tip on it. And just rotate it. And you want to try to get these dots as close to the center dot as possible without touching. And do like that. All right, so one thing I want to show you not to do, don't just push down hard like that, because now you have that little center that doesn't have paint on it and it's just not very pretty. So you want to just carefully push down. Okay, now I'm starting to get a build up around the edge. So before I go any farther, I'm going to clean my tip because I don't want the build up on the edge. You just barely push the tip in the paint and push down. And you want a nice little dot or a little part sticking up. And if it doesn't do it quite right, just re-dip it and re-dot it. All right, I'm gonna go back to this. Okay, so I've got green. I did 6 circles around it. You could do a little more if you wanted to, but try to keep them even. All right, I'm going to go with a slightly bigger dot. So I think I'm going to use the eraser. And I'm going to do yellow this time. And I'm just barely dipping it in so it covers the tip but doesn't go up the side. And these dots I'm going to put in between the green dots right next to them without touching. And I'm just going to work my way around. Put them right in the middle of those green dots. So they're almost touching but not quite. And redip every time you dot. Now once you get the hang of this, it becomes almost kind of therapeutic. And you can listen to some music or have a TV show in the background playing. Just pay attention to what you're doing. So I don't like how that looks. I'm going to go back. I'm going to redot it. That's better. And then I just like to rotate as I'm going. Keep it between the previous 2 dots. Almost touching, but not quite touching. Okay. All right. I'm going to go for a bigger dot this time. And I think I may actually mix my colors a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go for a light green. So I'm going to get a little bit of green, and I'm just going to use my pencil tip. And I'm going to pull some white over on the side and mix that green. And I may get just a little more. Just want it to be a slightly different color. Just going to mix it really good. Okay, and then try to wipe off as much as I can. And then just clean your tips every time you use paint. Okay, so I'm going to go for a bigger dot. I said this time I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use this marker tip. So that edge right there. All right, again, you're going to put, just carefully dip it. Make sure it doesn't go off the side. And then I'm going to put my dot between my yellow dots. And I'm just going to carefully lay it down so it makes a circle. And if I don't quite like how that looks, I'm going to go back and redot it. And then I'm going to rotate it each time. These bigger circles are kind of harder sometimes to get perfectly round. So you may have to go back and dip them 2 or 3 times to get them looking right. You want it to be kind of neat. So you want to get it as close to the yellow circles without touching them. Okay. And then just rotate as you go. Actually, I'm going to redo that again. Sometimes it really doesn't do what you want it to. There we go. That's better. I want it pretty round and circular. Okay. So I'm going to go all the way around and do these between every yellow dot. And then I'm going to show you one more technique that I think is kind of fun. And it's called walking the dot. Or I don't know if that's an official term, but it's what I heard someone call it. And I think it makes perfect sense. There we go, that's a better one. Okay, almost done. Keep dipping it every time. Don't try to redot. You need some more paint every time to keep it even. And sometimes you need 2 or 3 dips to get it looking right. Oh, I didn't get enough paint. I'm gonna add a little more paint. Carefully lay it down. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this off. Remember, wipe off between colors. Okay, so this time I'm going to use a brush. And I kind of already started, but I'm going to redo it because I didn't like the tip. So I'm going to dip it in the middle right next to the line. And this time I'm not re-dipping it. I'm just going to walk the line down. Walk the dot down. And then I'm going to start back in the center and then go the other side. Yeah, this tip works much better. And then I'm going to go the opposite side. I'm going to dot it in the middle and then just walk the dot down. And it'll get smaller. And then I'm going to dot in the middle every time when I start because you want the dots to be fairly even. Okay. And I dipped it again. I'm going to start another one. Get right on the line, right next to the dot without touching it, and then just walk it around. Dip it again, dot in the middle, and walk it around the other side. Dip in the middle and walk it around without re-dipping. And if you don't like, some of those didn't quite come out right, I can go back and redo them. You can dip it in and carefully lay some paint down. You just don't want to push all the way down because you want the dots to get smaller as they go down. Okay. This is called walking the dot. So we're starting in the center after we dip it, and then we're just carefully touching it and going for a walk down the side. Start in the center always, and then work your way down. And if you start to get some buildup on that tip that you're using, just wipe it off and then re-dip and go again. And you can use any color combination you want. I try to stick to 3 or 4 colors, but you could do the rainbow of colors if you want. The more you practice this, the more you get better at it. I am by no means an expert. I just started trying to do this last week myself. I find it relaxing, but a little bit challenging too. And just walking it down. Oh, I forgot to go in the center. Yeah, always go back in the center and then walk your way down. Okay, and then, so I could keep going, and I will keep going, and I will finish adding dots on most of this page. So this one I think I'm mostly finished with. This one I got a little ways to go. So have fun with it. Use whatever colors you want. Remember to wipe your tools in between, and don't have a lot of buildup, and just carefully place your tool down to make your dot. So this is called mandala painting. I hope you enjoy it.